I'll give a moment for a few more to join. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. Our topic today is Meet the Peer Support Specialist. My name is Anthony Adkins, and I'm the program coordinator with the Department of Behavioral Health, Developmental, and Intellectual Disabilities. And I also am a peer support specialist. So this month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we wanted to use this Lunch and Learn as an opportunity to raise awareness of Kentucky's peer support specialists. Did you know that peer support specialists do a variety of things? If you weren't aware, by the end of this training, you'll know more about the supports that they offer. We have an interpreter here today, Julie Buckham. And then we also have CART services, caption at real time, provided by Laura with McKendon CART services. And all of your questions, I ask for you to hold them to the end of the session so that everyone is able to see clearly, and that we ask the audience to please turn your cameras off and mute your microphones until that Q&A time. So I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce our deaf and hard of hearing peer support specialists. First, we have Tessa Fain. So would you mind to introduce yourself, Tessa? Just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what your communication methods are.
I am Tessa. I've been with Bridgehaven for since 2003. I am opening up my life to help others in community since I didn't have one that I could relate to when I went to the Ridge Hospital. I've been to the Ridge Hospital twice in my life. I've been in and out of therapy since I was 13 years old. I am 41 years old and I'm way more healthy than I was, but I'm still working on myself because I'm still a work in progress since I have borderline personality disorder, PTSD, depression, and panic attacks. I hope I'll be able to get back to the community in the best way that I can.
This is Anthony speaking. Thank you, Tessa. So next, I'd like to introduce Ron. This is Ron speaking. Hello, everyone. My name is Ron. I am a deaf individual. I am a peer support specialist, and I have been for the last 3 years. I love the work. I'm very grateful to Michelle Niehaus and the program for offering it to me. And I struggled with alcoholism and abuse of alcohol. And it's been that way for some time. I have been actively involved in sponsoring other deaf individuals who have similar needs throughout Kentucky. This is Anthony speaking. Thank you, Ron. Now I'd like to introduce Maria. This is Maria speaking. Hello. My name is Maria, and last name is Castle. And I have been a peer support specialist since 2023, August of that year. I suffer from depression and PTSD. trauma. I was involved in a boating accident, and I have been looking since 2015 for resources and help and someone to just come alongside me that I felt like I could deal with this trauma with. And last year, finally found resources to help. And so now it's my turn to give back and come alongside the deaf community for whatever needs they might have, just to provide them with support and a place to land, somebody local that they can talk with. So I prefer sign language as my preferred communication method. And if necessary, I can use some speech and signing at the same time. This is Anthony speaking. Thank you, Maria. So now I would like to introduce Tam. This is Tam speaking. Hello. Tam Schmidt is my name. This is my name sign. And I am in Simpsonville, Kentucky. Just recently moved to the area a couple of years ago, looking for help since last year, and finally met with a peer support specialist who gave me a lot of support. And because of that, I decided to become one as well. I want to pay it forward. So I suffer from PTSD, alcohol abuse, a whole laundry list of other things underneath that. But those are the primary two that I focus on. I have anxiety and also ADHD, depression, a lot of things from a domestic violence experience that I had as a domestic violence survivor. So that's where I'm coming from. This is Anthony speaking. Thank you, Tam. Now I'd like to introduce Dominique.
My name is Dominique. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and the reason I've been diagnosed mental illness is a PTSD, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and major depression disorder and also anxiety. And the reason I become, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and also, the reason I become a peer support specialist is to really, just like everyone else, trying to give back to the community and really, be that support system for others and really, acknowledge that they're not alone, that, they do have the resource, that's provided for them. And I know at times it's really hard to give resources, especially for the deaf community. It really is very limited. And I would like to, expand that, resources so it can be like affordable and really easy for them to gain that access, just like everyone else who are dealing with mental illness. So, and then again, I just want to pay it forward and give back to the community. It's not about the money. It's all about, about my heart. That I will, that's how I want to give, and that's how I want to see. So I just love to give. And I, they're not long. I'm always there to support and trying to, use my story to help others and so they can gain wisdom and knowledge, for themselves. So, storytelling it's a powerful tool. So thank you.
This is Anthony speaking. Thank you, Dominique. So now I would like to introduce Trisha. This is Trisha speaking. Hi. My name sign is this. I go by Trish. I'm from Danville, Kentucky, and I am a peer support specialist since October of 2023. And in that time, prior to that time rather, I have been in and out of different support services through the entirety of my life. and without anyone like me to offer me any support or guidance. So going through my experiences alone was difficult and challenging. I am a survivor of physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, domestic violence. I also have PTSD with anxiety and depression. So I'm here because I want to show that there are paths to hope for deaf individuals, that I have overcome and am overcoming, and I want to offer that same hope to others. And my preferred communication method is ASL. This is Anthony speaking. Thank you, Trish. So last, I would like to introduce Michael. This is
Hi everyone, my name is Mig. I'm Mig. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a peer support specialist here in Kentucky. I have had depression, anxiety, ADD. I'm a cancer survivor, and I have been experiencing verbal domestic violent abuse and substance abuse. I've been sober for now 19 years now. I'm here to help other people here in Kentucky to have a peer support specialist to help other people to have resources that can come out of the recovery. And have so many different situations that I had to experience growing up. I've been bullied in high school. I was made fun of. I've been through so much listed. So that's what's going on with. And then that's it.
This is Anthony speaking. Thank you, Michael. Okay, so I would like to open it up for some questions to the panel. So first question is, what is a peer support specialist? Patricia is saying, do you want me to answer? Anthony saying, whoever would like to make a comment. So this is Patricia speaking, or Trish. So a peer support specialist is someone who is able to come alongside like a mentor and assist others using our own stories and experience to provide resources, to provide assistance with just daily living skills, how to help people improve their life skills, give them resources for going to counseling, support groups, just offering that support. Anthony says, Maria, did you want to add something? Maria is saying yes. So also the emotional support without judgment, offering that support through someone else on their own personal journey. Anthony's saying, does anyone else want to add anything? Ron. This is Ron speaking. So as a peer support specialist, it means anyone who's struggling, who's deaf, they can know someone out there understands and empathize, because we are the same. I am deaf also. I use sign language. So those struggles, they don't have to feel alone in them. And it is not, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to say, I've been where you are and I want to help you. I'm here to support you. I want you to be successful. That is my goal in coming alongside you, is to help you succeed. Then you can pass it on. And I want to share one thing that is just the absolute most favorite thing for me. It's a quote that says friendship is the proof in that moment when one person says to another, "What? You too?" I thought that I was the only one. So I feel like that illustrates my own mistakes or my own life choices, my own errors. I can come alongside someone else to offer that support, and they can go, "Oh, you went through this too? Just like me? I'm not alone." And I think that connection and knowing that you're not alone really is where the support comes in. So that's all I wanted to say. Anthony is saying, thank you so much for sharing that, Ron. So the next question I want to ask to the peer support specialists, you use your own experiences to come alongside others. Can you share a little bit about what that looks like? Sure, Dominique.
One way I'll kind of explain it, kind of elaborate on that is to really, when it comes to someone that been in a similar situation and it's been, but it won't be like the same, but you can I also, tend to, I listen to their story first and kind of, see where they come from. And then, before I tell my story, I kind of share, kind of elaborate what they told me and trying to use that connection along with my personal experience of that story. So and then, I give them really kind of like a picture, like a picture form, more of a visual to really understand exactly what happened in that moment and also how to cope with it. So I kind of follow through with couple coping strategies that helped me. So I kind of, suggested, recommended, and just to try it out. I don't, no pressure, no force, but just a recommendation, that it helped me the most. So, you kind of be hopeful they take it home with them and try it out. And then, maybe after a couple of days or a couple of weeks, I kind of follow up with them just to see, hey, how'd that work? Did you try it? Did it, benefit you in a big way, or was it not good enough? If it's not good enough, then I'm always, researching other ways. I try it out myself first, and then if it benefit me, then I can share with others. If it don't benefit me, I still recommend it, but I'll let them know it did not work for me. So, that's how I go about, sharing my story.
This is Anthony. Thank you so much, Dominique. Did someone else want to add something? Sure, Ron. And this is Ron speaking. So I agree with what Dominique was saying. I applaud your strategy. Yes, I take my own experiences, and I know that some of my struggles might not help someone else. But we want to try to find some place where we can get them to where they want help and they want what they need to be successful. I mean, it's really a lot like what Dominique was just saying. I really appreciate your comments. And this is Anthony. Does anyone else have something to add? Okay, great. So, third question I'd like to ask. As a peer support specialist, If you meet with someone, what are some specific things that you do together, or let me rephrase that. What are some things that person can expect in that moment when they meet with a peer support specialist? Tessa, yes.
We can give hope and encouragement during the recovery. We can mentor has setting goals and help them find what they are passionate about. Provide coping skills in certain situations.
This is Anthony speaking. Thank you for sharing that, Tessa. Does anyone else want to add anything to that? Yes, Dominique?
I also want to include that, things like nature walking, that's also a good one. They feel good, it really depends on your client, what they went through, what their diagnosis are, and what some of the things they're very passionate about. And then you know, kind of relate that, with the theme of, kind of depending on what kind of activity that they really enjoy, and it really help them, reduce the symptom from their mental illness. For example, like anxiety, um, it's not a best recommendation to go to a very large population, populated place like in the public, but they probably more prefer going, nature walking or go to a park where there's less people and just the two of us. So that way it kind of reduce, the depression and anxiety. So that way, I'll have, my full attention on them. No distraction or nothing else. So that's one thing.
This is Anthony. Thank you for sharing that, Dominique. Yeah, and Trish? This is Trish speaking. So I've been helping others for years with intellectual disabilities. I've had some volunteer work that I've done. And through that time, I've noticed that a lot of things are individually based. So figuring out what meets someone's individual needs first, having some direct interactions with them, figuring out what their preferences are, what the best way to serve that person or meet their needs might be. So for example, if someone needs some life skills, like they need to understand how to go to the grocery store and go grocery shopping, I might come alongside them and work with them as far as budgeting their money, choosing the best products at the grocery store, depending on whatever their food preferences are. And then offering assistance for transportation, potentially, if they have to go to counseling or they want to go to support group, helping them find resources for those needs. Just meeting them where they're at and then helping provide services there from my own lived experience to encourage them to be successful. And this is Anthony speaking. Thank you for sharing that, Trish. Anyone else want to add something? Sure, Ron. And this is Ron speaking. So one thing that I have noticed is often they feel lost. They don't know how to make goals. They don't know how to get back on track. And just having somebody to come alongside, maybe take them to detox, maybe help, maybe they're anxious, they don't want to go to a program, but maybe I'll meet them there and I'll go to the door with them and I'll walk through that as much as I can with them. Some people don't know how to work the system to get someone to come alongside them, like contact KCDHH and get an interpreter, and they don't know that they can use the Kentucky Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing to get phone equipment that could make things accessible for them. So helping to educate them on resources in the community, and sometimes they can't even afford to pay that monthly phone bill. So I can come alongside and contact T-Mobile with them and negotiate some reduced rates for people with disabilities. And so offering support in a practical way as well. Yesterday, I was involved in a recovery situation where we went to a retreat for 4 people at the Natural Bridge. And we just went hiking out in nature, and one individual started to get a little anxious, started to have some anxiety because of the terrain. And so I just came up next to them physically, tried to encourage them, keep them positive, help them keep their eye on the goal in order to lessen their anxiety, just kind of get them back on track. And I talked with one of the coaches and I said, you go on and go ahead. We're looking for a trail that's maybe a little wider or a little bit more accommodating, just to help lessen the anxiety of this individual. We went 1.75 miles up this hill and trying to, lessen anxiety. And then on the way back down, it was much shorter. There was a shorter path on the way down. I had been there before, and so I knew a shorter way on the way down, but just looking at something that is initially negative and changing it to a positive, trying to find the positivity and offer that hope, as opposed to an experience that could have been potentially very negative and non-beneficial. So that's just a practical example of me as a peer support specialist. Anthony's saying, thank you so much, Ron, for sharing that. So I would like to now talk about the RCCs, the Recovery Community Centers, and what that means. They are a nonprofit center that offers support services, just like support groups, NA, AA, many more. They offer peer support specialists and housing, and they have social atmosphere for those who want to socialize with others. These RCCs are operated by peers with lived experience. Ron is currently our longest serving peer support specialist. And he offers free online Zoom sessions and works at the Recovery Community Centers and at the Recovery Cafe. So Ron, would you mind to talk a little bit more about the RCCs and what they mean, what they do? So this is Ron speaking. So I work a lot at the Recovery Cafe every Tuesday. I have office hours from 2 to 4. And the hope is that those who are out in the community struggling, who find themselves in need of help and they are deaf and they need resources, they can come during those open office hours. And we have recovery circle meetings, which are a support group. We also have lots of events, just like I had told you about yesterday, where that group of us, we went to the Natural Bridge. So they have lots of activities that they offer for people who attend. Once a month, they have a deaf recovery group. Which is like a coffee house kind of atmosphere where people will come and just socialize. That happens monthly. And at the Recovery Cafe, they also have art. They have different sorts of hands-on, uh, they have things that you can make as far as crafts. They have pool table. And they assist those who are currently unhoused and finding places to live. They offer case management services for people looking for apartments. I know there was one individual who needed assistance in trying to get a child returned to them. So they had a case manager who could work with them through that process. So there's just so many things that I've been involved with the Recovery Community Center. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. This is Anthony speaking. Thank you so much for that, Ron. So the agency that I work with, we partner with those recovery community centers statewide. We also partner with Bridgehaven. And I want to introduce to you now Brad Leedy, who is in charge of that program at Bridgehaven for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services and the Peer Support Specialist program. Hi, Brad. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. So do you mind to talk a little bit about Bridgehaven and the services they offer, or when you would refer someone out, just the sort of things that they do?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Bridgehaven partnered with the department to begin training and then employing peer support individuals, people who are certified to be able to reach out to all parts of the state to be able to provide peer services to folks who have severe and persistent mental illness and who may need that additional support other than maybe if they're already seeing a therapist or they've got some other supports in their lives. Peers can reach out to those folks, as we've heard, in different and sometimes even more meaningful ways. So we were really excited to be able to partner with Michelle and Anthony and the state to be able to get these services hopefully all across the state at some point. But right now we've got them in places like Lexington. We've got some in Louisville. We have some peer supports that live in Winchester, Danville, as you've heard, Brooksville, and Simpsonville as well. So if someone is interested in making a referral, all they have to do is reach out to me at Bridgehaven, and I will make sure to put my email address in the chat so that folks will be able to reach me. And basically, the only requirement is that the only restrictions that we have on service is that the person needs to be an adult, 18 years of age or up, and then also needs to have a mental health diagnosis. So we will take it from there. And the process is very simple. We will reach out to them to schedule an intake, and then they will meet with a therapist to come up with a treatment plan and then be able to start working with their peer once we get all of their information into our system.
This is Anthony speaking. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us, Brad.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so this is Anthony. We've discussed quite a bit. So now I want to know what questions anyone might have. And then that will conclude the Lunch and Learn. So hopefully you have learned about the peer support specialists and what they offer, what they can do, how they can help. So I'd like to open the floor now for questions and answers. Hi, this is Blake, and I have a question. I work with the Kentucky Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and we do a lot of advocacy and a lot of referrals. So my question, I've learned a lot more about the work that you do in your program. So thank you. So we could potentially be making referrals for some for mental health related things. How do we make that referral? Do we contact Bridgehaven first? Do we contact one of you as a peer support specialist? How does that work?
Anthony, do you mind if I take that?
Sure, go right ahead.
You can reach out to any of the peers that are on here, but you can also reach out to me, and I put my contact information in the chat. So just reach out, let us know that you've got someone who may be able to benefit from services, and then we'll work together to get the information that we need and be able to kind of answer any questions that you or that individual may have, and then get them set up for an intake if we all are in agreement that this particular service is the right one for them.
This is Blake speaking. So thank you. And just to make sure they understand exactly how the process works, how do you determine who is assigned, which peer support specialist is assigned to a specific person in need?
Great question. Ron, do you want to answer that?
Oh, no, this is Ron. No, you go ahead, Brad.
Okay. Primarily what we will do is we want to look at what issues that individual may be facing, what's their clinical presentation, what their symptoms are, but really to find out if there's anybody on our peer team that has maybe also experienced some of those same situations or symptoms. And that's kind of our first step in the process. Then, because the deaf community is, I mean, there's a lot of people who are deaf and hard of hearing in Kentucky, but even that, the community seems to be pretty small. We want to make sure that that the individual feels comfortable being matched with a specific peer, and things that may influence that is if they know each other socially or if they've come into contact with each other. So we'll ask those questions and make sure that you know, if the clinical part is a good match, then the social part of that would also be a good match. So we would have a conversation around those issues. And then one other thing I wanted to add, which I didn't mention earlier, is that for many of our peers, because they are spread out in the state, we would like to try to find a match in terms of geographic location. But even then, if that's not possible, or somebody prefers to receive services over Zoom or a virtual network, then that's okay too. And we can provide services both ways.
This is Blake. Thank you so much. Did you want to say something, Ron? And this is Ron saying, yes, I'm really glad that you brought up the question. It depends on the individual needs. And there are options for them to receive assistance because some of us have different specialty areas or experience areas. So like my own personal experience, there was one deaf individual who had heard about our work as peer support specialists, and they approached me and said, I heard about this peer support specialist program. And then they had asked, what does that mean? What does it look like? And so I explained the program to them. And then they asked if they could receive help with their problem. And they were in a place where they were nearing, self-harm. So I jumped in to help, and I'm glad that they approached me because that was important at that moment. But the only reason why they knew to approach me was because of word of mouth of the services we offer. So they knew, so spreading the word to other deaf individuals is really important. So any deaf individuals who are struggling, have them contact Bridgehaven, have them contact some other peer support specialist just to get them help. And this is Blake speaking. Yes, we do have some who contact us at KCDHH. So I'm really glad to know Um, Ron, I know this, I'm really excited to see how much this has exploded since you initially started this program. So thank you so much for answering my questions. And Anthony is saying, just so you know, Blake, if there's someone who's having substance abuse issues, we can always get them connected to a regional community center. So those RCCs, those regional, or those recovery community centers, rather, interpret clarification, those are, we have 3 or 4 of them in process currently with deaf services at them, and Ron has already started working with the Recovery Cafe. So we've got a good basis with some others that are in process, and we're hoping to expand those services so that we're providing more assistance for the deaf and hard of hearing community. We're hoping to do that, make some of those adjustments or additions this fall. And this is Blake speaking. KCDH does a lot of advertising within the deaf community and marketing. And so we would be happy to broadcast whatever you need us to. And Anthony is saying, thank you so much. And this is Ron. I have a flyer here for the Recovery Cafe. And I have tried to spread the word to therapists, to counseling professionals, hospitals, people who are homeless, people in shelters. I've been trying to get the word out as far as how the Recovery Cafe program works, the hours that it's open, and if there's any deaf individuals in need, because word of mouth within the deaf community, you know, getting them to know about the peer support specialist, that they can come at a certain time to see me. We've been trying to get the word out for that. And then, well, I can't remember what I was going to say, so we can just move on. And Blake is saying, thank you. That was all the questions that I had. I appreciate your answers. Thank you. And Ron is saying, oh, I just remembered that Michelle and I and another gentleman named Todd, we had several goals of starting a program, and it has taken time and it's been a process, but we have seen it grow, and I'm looking forward to continued growth. And Blake is saying, yes. I mean, I love that you have those goals. That's the end goal. Thank you so much, Blake is saying. And this is Anthony speaking. So do you mind, Tam, to talk a little bit about what you're doing in Louisville at the Recovery Community Center? Would you mind to expand on that a little? And this is Tam speaking. We're still sort of in the beginning stages, so I don't know how much I can say. We have a lot of ideas that we're kicking around. We're still in the discussion phase with the LRCC and the Louisville Recovery Community Center, and trying to set plans in place for the future. And Anthony is saying, sure, as Tam just mentioned, you guys are sort of brainstorming and collaborating to come together with ideas and trying to have deaf-friendly access there at the Recovery Community Center. So that might look like an NA class or an AA class or a yoga class or whatever. But it involves going and trying to see what would make those sessions more deaf-friendly and more accessible. And that is our goal, is to have a place where a deaf person could go in and have their needs met, have access to information in their language, and not to have everything solely focused on the hearing population, because we know that that is a continued barrier for the deaf community and prolongs their recovery process, that lack of access. So having equal access to to aid and assist in their recovery process. That is what we're working towards. Okay. Um, I don't know if anyone has anything else they'd like to share before we wrap up. Yes, Ron. And this is Ron speaking. I wanted to share my ultimate end goal. I would love to have a deaf recovery group retreat. That is something I would love to expect in the future. Just like that group that I spoke about that went on this retreat yesterday to the Natural Bridge, it was a wonderful time. Well, let me back up. The coach who works at the recovery center had said they were going to have a retreat, and I was like, oh, tell me more, tell me more. I want to know about this. And they said, well, you're welcome to come. But as the time got closer, I decided to just go for one day instead of for the entirety. The retreat was actually Tuesday through Thursday. I just went for one day. But they had a wonderful building, a cabin with several bedrooms, several bathrooms, lots of amenities, a large eating area, dining area. And they had two separate cabins, I should clarify, one for females and one for males. And then when we went out to the Natural Bridge, it was just such an enjoyable time. And I would love to see something like that accessible for the deaf community. And they had a bonfire in the evening, and they made s'mores. Everyone sat around the fire. I hope to talk with Michelle and some of the other leaders of that group. About potentially planning this. And then they also had yoga, just like Tam had talked about. Yoga or meditation being offered. They just had different groups or different sessions during the day for people to be involved in. I would love to see us grow towards something like that in the future. And this is Anthony speaking. Thank you so much, Ron. So does anyone else have anything that they want to add before we wrap up? Okay. So as we conclude this Lunch and Learn session, I hope that you've learned a lot about the peer support specialists. You've learned about what they do, how they help. And hopefully, if you are watching this on YouTube, you are encouraged to share this program and this peer support specialist need with the community. We want to network, get the word out. So I want to say thank you to our interpreter and our CART services, Julie and Laura. And this session has been recorded. So you'll be able to check on our YouTube channel to see this at a later time. You'll see it posted there soon. Thank you to everyone who's joined us. And I hope that you all have a wonderful day.